Greetings, peoples of the interwebs. Jake here, and it was recently. Well, nothing's been confirmed, but there are rumors going around that Robert Zemeckis is possibly going to direct the Flash film, which, in a way, is kind of an odd choice. Which, honestly, a lot of their choices for some of the directors that they're either eyeing or have confirmed so far are a little left field. Like Mel Gibson for Suicide Squad 2 was an odd choice. I don't think that'll happen, but the fact that they're even going after someone like him, Joss Whedon for Batgirl, which that one actually makes a little bit more sense. He's got a deep background in comics and strong female characters, whether it be his TV shows or movies, and so I don't know. It's just one of those weird things where it's not. I like the fact that they're going after some of these big name talents for directors, and they're even, I think, have had meetings with Aaron Sorkin for possibly writing one of the movies, which I think would be interesting. Again, a bit of an odd choice, but I guess it's sort of a good thing that they're, kind of going after these top name directors, writers, producers, and all that. So, again, it's too soon to really say whether, it gets me excited. Because, one, most of these people haven't been officially confirmed. They're just kind of in meetings and talks and rumors, of course. But it's certainly interesting. And Robert Zemeckis, though, it's an odd choice, but at the same time, I could see it actually working. Because a lot of his movies have that kind of... Because Flash is more of a kind of lighthearted, fun character in the comics. And Robert Zemeckis has done really well with that in a lot of his films. And, he's done a few films that just happen to involve a young gentleman who deals with time travel. The Back to the Future films, I don't know if you were familiar with those. Those little indie films back in the 80s and early 90s. So, he's clearly dealt with material sort of similar to what The Flash would be. But he can also go, he does more serious, more dramatic films as well. So I think he could definitely find a good balance between serious drama and just kind of fun lightheartedness in the Flash movie, which I think would be ideal. Because you also have to try and fit this Flash movie in with the tone of the current DCEU, which is, again, a lot darker and grittier. So it could work, sure. But again, none of these... I don't know, man. None of these decisions are, really getting me pumped for the continuation of the DCEU. But they're not exactly, throwing me off. Because I feel like if they do end up getting these top-tier talented people, whether, again, be for, writing, directing, producing, what have you, it could be a step in the right direction. And that's one thing DC, Warner Brothers really need, is a step in the right direction. Because... their most recent movies not been so good. Man of Steel aside, I will defend that movie. I love it, and it's a fantastic movie. Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad, not as much. Hopefully Wonder Woman and Justice League will be great, and will kind of be them furthering into the right direction. We'll see. Still got a few months for both of those films. So, I don't know, it could work. Because, again, I do think that regardless of which... I don't know. Again, I feel like a director like Zemeckis could find that good balance of lighthearted fun, humor, but also have the dramatic, serious moments. Whereas I feel like other directors might do one too much of the other, where it just kind of just wouldn't fit. It'd either be a little bit too serious... or be a little bit too comical and kind of lighthearted fun, which, if it was any other movie, if the DCEU didn't already establish this kind of darker tone, and they were, I don't know, I guess more like Marvel, then I think a lighthearted fun movie for Flash would be actually perfect. However, it's not what happened, for better or worse. That's debatable on whether the tone is an issue or not, but either way, they've established a tone, and they're either going to have to gradually move forward, which is it's not necessarily a bad thing to kind of change the tone up depending on the movies. Because that, again, I think certain stories lend themselves to a darker tone, like a Batman or I guess kind of Batman adjacent stories. If they did like Under the Red Hood, which would be my ideal Batman film, because it's a great storyline and the animated film is fantastic. But other characters, not again. Flash would not really lend himself to a darker, grittier movie at all, in my opinion. So, yeah, this could be a good fit if this actually happens, but I kind of feel like it's not going to happen like a lot of the other people that they're trying to get to direct or write these movies. And then that'll be like the or I guess technically fourth person to drop out of directing The Flash, if you count Lord and Miller, who were originally attached to write and direct the movie. Which, for those of you who don't know, they did the Lego Batman film, they did 21-22 Jump Street, and they're now doing the Han Solo standalone movie. So already they've got a pretty good track record. They're 3-3, hopefully 4-4 with the Han Solo film, that's why they aren't doing Flash, because they passed on that to do Han Solo. So, again, this is normal for movies to kind of like lose a director or something like that. But the fact that they've lost this many in such a short amount of time does not exactly bode well. And I've talked about this before in previous videos. We've discussed it in previous podcasts before, but it is what it is. Let's just hope for the best. And again, if they get Robert Zemeckis, then I think that will give me a little bit more, I guess, faith or hope in this whole DCEU. I'm still not going to be, I'm not going to get my hopes up, and I'm not going to jump out of bed or anything like that, but I do think this could potentially be the step in the right direction. And someone with the credibility of Robert Zemeckis, I don't think the studio would exactly be able to push him around. Same thing with like a Mel Gibson. Either one of those two, if the studio tries to interfere too much, they'll just kind of be like, hey, look, do you see my resume? Back off. I know what I'm doing. So in that regard, that's kind of why I'm actually hoping that they do get someone like Mel Gibson and Robert Zemeckis to direct these movies, because even if they don't exactly fit in the DCU, they'll at least be good. Because again, both have a proven track record. Again, say what you want about Mel Gibson, the dude is one of the most talented directors out there, one of the most talented actors out there. So Suicide Squad 2, even if it doesn't fit at all with the first one, it's going to be a damn good movie. That much I think is for sure. Same thing with Robert Zemeckis doing Flash. So, I guess we can at least be optimistic that they score these people to do these movies. And I think Joss Whedon doing the Batgirl movie, I think, could be really good. Tonally, that could be an issue, but we'll see. As a whole, I don't hate the idea of Joss Whedon doing a Batgirl movie. And I guess the thing that worries me is, again, tone, because he is a bit more that kind of fun, lighthearted, quippy humor like we've seen in the Marvel movies, especially like Avengers and Age of Ultron. But I think you can't, Age of Ultron, I guess, for me was kind of too quippy and jokey and too many characters dropping one-liners. It was funny, but when you do it too much, then it's just kind of, it becomes kind of too much of a shtick and almost is like a comedy routine. And that's definitely not what I want in any kind of movie, really, like too much of anything, especially in a comic book movie. I want it to be just a good movie first off, and then add in the humor, add in whatever else you need to do. So, could be good. We just got to see how all this turns out, and if the DCU can survive, because honestly I feel like if Justice League, I don't think it'll bomb. I just don't think it'll bomb, but I think if it meets the same critical divisiveness as Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad, and really even Man of Steel, I think they'll keep going with this DCU, but I don't know if they'll be as all gung-ho with just kind of announcing all these movies, because, my God, it just seemed like for the longest time, every week they're announcing a new movie. It's like Black Adam and Batgirl, that's happening, Nightwing movie. They're just like throwing darts at pictures of DC characters. They're kind of like, who can we make a movie of next? Alright, Nightwing. I don't know who the hell that guy is, but make a movie of that. Black Adam. Definitely don't know who that is. Are they even a real character? Doesn't matter. I don't even care. Just make it happen. Here's money. Get a director. Get a writer. Let's make this happen in like 2 years or however long they're trying to do this. So, and again, that actually kind of worries me too, that they're just announcing movies. You know, get a plan, people. Get a plan. Been saying this from day one. If you got a plan, then by all means announce these movies, make them happen. But I feel like they still don't really have a plan. They're just saying things. So we'll see where all this DC EU nonsense goes. Let's hope for the best, though. As a fan of DC comics and DC characters, I want the best, but don't exactly have the best faith right now. But also, I guess, sort of in the same vein of comics, apparently we're getting 3 X-Men movies next year. Deadpool 2, Phoenix, and New Mutants, which is interesting. Deadpool 2, I think, obviously pretty sure that's going to be great. Phoenix, Fox doesn't have the best track record with the Phoenix movies, or trying to do the Phoenix storyline. Because Last Stand was garbage. Which, granted, there is a lot of whole behind-the-scenes issues with that movie. And also I feel like Apocalypse, that movie didn't really deliver, and it was almost like they kind of wasted Apocalypse, a great villain, who could have easily been a carryover villain for future X-Men movies. They kind of just wasted him. To me, almost as like a setup. It's like, oh, hey guys, remember that whole Dark Phoenix thing? We're going to try and do that again. And don't get me wrong, the Dark Phoenix saga is fantastic. It's got a lot of potential, if done right. But if they kind of... I mean, honestly, I feel like if just get Bryan Singer out of the way, don't let him come back as a director, maybe keep him on as a producer, but no, don't let him direct, because then you're just going to kind of stay in this... He's not going to add anything new, in my opinion, to the franchise. So just push him aside, let him do whatever he wants to do that's not X-Men related. Bring in someone new who has a good vision, good storytelling abilities, and actually knows the characters really well. Because I feel like Bryan Singer's not really had a good grasp on a lot of the X-Men characters, so... Honestly, yeah, I feel like if he's not directing any of these 3 movies, I think I'll be fine. So, I don't know. I think that's kind of cool that Fox are really... Seems like they're kind of getting on track with their X-Men movies, because they've had a bit of a hit-or-miss track record with their X-Men films, but they do seem to be trending upwards. X-Men Apocalypse, aside, for me personally, I thought that movie was just bland, generic, and very boring, and very forgettable. Whereas Deadpool and Logan are exceptional movies, not just for comic book films, but they're just exceptional movies in general. So I think they are on the upward trend of kind of, even if their movies, whether it be New Mutants, Phoenix Saga, obviously Deadpool 2, even if they don't fit into their continuity, or lack thereof, I'm also at the point where I'm like, if you just tell me good stories like Logan and Deadpool, I'll kind of just ignore the fact that the continuity is pretty much non-existent, and they've even poked fun of in Deadpool. So, if they just kind of have fun with it in the Deadpool movies and just focus on telling good stories, yeah, I might just be able to kind of look the other way on the whole lack of continuity and just be like, all right, I don't know what time period or time frame this fits in with other movies, but it's a good movie, and honestly, that's priority number 1 for any filmmaker in general, whether it be a comic book movie or what have you, is make a good movie first and then do whatever else you need to do it to make it a comic book movie or a science fiction movie or whatever. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to these movies. Definitely Deadpool 2. And of course, the X-Force and those kind of movies I'm definitely looking forward to. So, yeah. And now Thanos, Josh Brolin is going to be playing Cable. Not the left field decision, but Josh Brolin's a fantastic actor, and yeah, I'm on board. So that wraps up this video. This was just kind of my quick, thoughts on some of this more recent comic book movie news that I just haven't gotten around to discussing yet in a video or in a podcast, which we might go into more detail in the next podcast. But speaking of podcasts, the new one that I started up fairly recently, Shogun's Gateway to Anime, you can now find us on Podbean and iTunes. That's right, people. So you can find, Podbean, iTunes. We're also looking into other outlets so that way you all can listen to our podcasts. So definitely check that out. Rate us on iTunes and Podbean, all these podcasting apps. Just that way it's easier for people to find us and kind of build us up a little bit, Like, we want people to hear us, give us feedback on how to improve, because clearly we're not that great right now. Honestly, we're not even that great here at Pacey Bell Productions. We just like to have fun and just talk about things that we enjoy. So, continue to just support us here, rate us, all that stuff on Podbean, iTunes, and probably here soon I'll actually start putting all of our Pasty Pale Production podcasts on Podbean as well. So once I get all that and start putting on iTunes and pretty much any other kind of podcasting app that I can figure out how to do, that'll start happening hopefully within the next month or two once I get everything set up and all that. So definitely look forward to that, and again, follow me on social media, and I'll definitely make a video announcing all this stuff once I do get everything set up for Pasty Pale Productions on Podbean and iTunes and all that. So a lot of big things coming, so definitely keep up with here in the channel and, the social medias and all of our other podcasts, so like Reverend Spaceman's podcast that he has with Jordan, Toy Isle. It's a lot of fun. But also, we're at 182 subscribers. Help us get to 200, preferably by the end of the year, and, we'll probably do another live stream. Me and the Pasty Pale gang just, sitting around doing a roundtable podcast live for you lovely people to view and comment on. So, yeah, help us get to 200 subscribers and just continue to, like, comment, share, subscribe, all that stuff to all of our YouTube, all the YouTube channels, all the podcasts we got going on. So that way we can give you better quality and give you more content. That's the whole, the whole point. The more views and subscribers we have, the better content, the more content, and the better content we can give you all. So that pretty much wraps up this video. Hopefully you all have enjoyed, and I'll leave links in the description below to the Podbean for Shogun's Gateway to Anime, Reverend Spaceman's channel, and all of our social medias and all that stuff. So until next time, everyone, cheers.